keep playing with that?
Because I'm skeptical. Do you think this really works?
Well, it's just about making the candidate seem familiar, so that the voter sees herself in him. But you've gone too far. There. Congratulations, Francis. You have my vote.
When you leave for New York?
Now. And I'm back for the event with Kathy.
It's very risky what McAllen is doing. Do you think it's worth it?
Danton and Sharp just lawyered up.
They don't want to testify?
And there's no way subpoenas get them in front of the committee before the election.
There's a rumor the committee's trying to make a deal with Garrett Walker.
No. Walker doesn't want to do damage to the party.
So why did Jim Matthews agree to appear? I'm already getting pummeled with questions about it.
Does he have anything to say?
Even if he pleads the fifth, they get a perp walk that implicates the president.
I didn't know anyone actually ate those.
I look forward to this stuff all year.
Do we have anything on the committee members?
Nothing too juicy yet, I'm afraid. Vice chairman had an affair with a young male staffer before he came out to his wife. Old news. Committee chairman's squeaky clean, other than a minor back tax issue. I did find some revenge porn on the chairman's chief of staff, but I don't think it's worth much.
Is it enough to scare her?
Well, embarrass her probably. More than that, probably not.
I gotta say, they look a lot better on you, Mrs. Underwood, than they would on Governor Conway. Maybe that's why he didn't want to pay for it.
These masks will be distributed to all MTA engineers, conductors, and maintenance workers. And this model is highly effective in case of a chemical attack. And I believe Mayor Alderati would like to say a few words.
Absolutely. Safety in all branches of the public transportation system is my #1 priority.
Ken?
That means subways. That means...
That's fine. I know him.
That means 24 hours a day, 7
What are
days.
you doing here?
This is my stop.
Oh, well, you look well.
Well, I can't complain. Can't complain. Except, I'm sure you heard about Tim.
Corbett? No?
That didn't call?
No.
Oh, man. I hate to be the one to tell you this. Tim went out on the Arkansas River. He's been missing for 2 days now. I thought for sure the president would have heard. I mean, I can't imagine how Frank's gonna take
Oh,
this.
my goodness. Beth and the kids must be so distraught.
Sure, but Frank and Tim's relationship was special.
I'd like to extend my thanks
It's great to see you, Claire. Would you ask Frank to give me a call?
Mrs. Underwood.
Just one moment. You see that gentleman I'm speaking to? Go ask him to wait for me, please.
Governors, we are running out of time. The fact that you were here at this emergency meeting on such short notice tells the American people that you were as concerned about their safety as I am. Terror is unacceptable. I do not accept it. But we will not be deterred by Washington's failure to address it. We will work together, side by side, fighting back, state by state, city by city, neighborhood by neighborhood, because make no mistake, we are engaged in the battle of our time. The question of what it is to be an American, the very essence of Americanness, how we choose to lead our lives open and free, is on the line. Fear is un-American. And yes, the irony of saying those words to you on Halloween of all days is not lost on me. But although we may choose as Americans to scare ourselves once a year for fun, no one else tells any American when to shake in their boots at any other time. So I am issuing an executive order by virtue of the authority vested in me as President of the United States and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, by our Constitution and the laws of our land, including Section blah blah of the Blah Blah Act and Section blah blah of Title blah blah, paragraph bullshit. In case you have no idea what's going on, I'm swelling these states' National Guard troops to create secure public spaces on Election Day. I'm urging these governors to consolidate their polling sites and create quote unquote voting centers so that people feel safe to come out and vote. I'm commending Governor Sally Morrison of the great state of Arizona for giving us all such a good example of voting centers as used in their recent primary. But what I'm really doing is seducing the governors of 5 key states: New Jersey, Nevada, Illinois, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Messrs. Harcourt, Nunez, Gallinard, Olmsted, and Matthews. Oh, you remember Matthews, don't you? Former Vice President to President Garrett Walker. Nothing but a provincial and petty pen stealer. But I need him. I need all 5 on my side if I'm going to win this election. Matthews, in our history, he's the biggest known unknown. Oh, and I almost forgot. The boy wonder is here, my worthy opponent. Out of his element and stuck in mine. But you see, in politics, stature is everything. And wouldn't you say that Willie's C is getting shorter by the minute?
These border restrictions the president is proposing, should the military play a role in enforcing them, General?
Well, I think we need to take a step back and look at our national security priorities and what constitutes appropriate deployment of our serving men and women. As veterans, this issue is a personal one for Governor Conway and me.
Would you?
I'll tell you something else. You won't hear this from the governor himself, but his military career is distinguished by exceptional acts of bravery. In particular, the incident for which he was awarded the Purple Heart stands out. Speaks to the kind of commander-in-chief he will be. Demonstrates what I call fearless wisdom. Someday soon, America needs to hear the full story of that day.
Thank you for your time, General Brockhart.
Glad to talk to you.
Coming up next on Special Report, we take a look
I swear
at
to God,
Venezuela.
if Underwood puts soldiers on those borders, I'll be the first to tell him not to listen.
In terms of allocation of funds, it's our water supply that keeps me up at night.
Roger, are you talking about protecting the infrastructure?
Infrastructure and water sources.
The reservoirs, the dams, the tunnel delivery systems?
All of it, yes. Protection from terrorism, sure, but the voters see even greater dangers. Structural, environmental, toxins from algae. Algae's quite a problem for us.
The big question here, are the feds doing all they can do?
Well, the feds want to do even more. That's the reason that we're all meeting here today. Now, look, gentlemen, all I can see is that we're in violent agreement with each other. I mean, Roger, how long have we known each other? How far do we go back?
You knew me when I had hair, Mr. President. It doesn't change the fact that my constituents are saying, give me a bridge, not a war zone.
And all I'm saying is that we need to anticipate threats when we can and thwart them.
And I'm saying that we're days away from an election, and I don't want to upset the apple cart.
Excuse me for just a moment.
I'll deal with him later.
Tell me exactly what she said.
Just as she heard it from Ken Caswell. I checked with the local authorities in Salida, sir. It doesn't look good. The chances of...
Amp up the search. Whatever materials and personnel they need in addition to what they have, give them. And reach out to Beth Corbett. I'd like to speak to her directly.
Yes, sir.
I haven't slept a good night's sleep since 2012. But I guess elected officials don't sleep, so our constituents can. The proof of success in fighting terror is something the public never hears about. A certain city in my state wears the biggest target in the nation. The city and state of New York has scored silent wins for 15 years without a declaration of war. Now, in most cases, I would argue the states can take care of themselves. Mr. President.
Well, by all means, continue, Governor. What was that part you were talking about, insomnia?
My point is, we're all Americans in this room, and we all love this country. And I'd like to thank the President for the opportunity to discuss this very important topic and apologize for being on such a tight schedule.
Well, we are enormously grateful that the Governor took the time to come and join us today.
I'm just trying to understand.
Claire, if I said anything to offend you, it was entirely, I mean, you know me, no filter.
And that's what worries me. I'm just operating on instinct, Ken. Did you come down here with an agenda?
No, I mean, I have been trying to reach Frank, but today was just, I saw that you were appearing at an event and I showed up to say hi. I really do work around here on a street called Wall, you know.
But then you made reference to something about two very close friends that's nobody's business, including yours. And you even said so yourself, Ken, that you have an awfully big mouth.
I lost a dear friend. I loved him. Everybody did.
And you implied Francis especially.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was a whole other thing.
In what way?
I mean, what do you want me to say? I'm sure I don't know anything you don't.
I'm just very interested in your perspective.
Frank worshipped him. Would have done anything for him. I don't know. If the world were a different place back then, who knows? That was a long time ago. And then he met you. And lucky him. Look, in terms of my firm and trying to get the president's ear, I mean, yeah, it's a little embarrassing that my friend of 30-whatever years didn't have time to pick up the phone.
He should have called you back. Francis and Tim were very good friends. But you know, Ken, the older I get, I learn that assumptions are dangerous.
Sure. Okay.
It was great to see you.
So where is she?
Change of plans. She needed to stay in New York.
She asked me to put something together for this.
Yeah, well, something came up. The vice president will be filling in for her.
Omar.
Hey, man. We played in a terrible band together back in the day. The before adulthood and alimony came crashing down.
2 X's.
Oh. So, where's the First Lady?
Something came up.
You know, I'd love to ask you a few questions about working on the campaign.
I'm just a speechwriter.
Well, exactly. How the hell did that happen?
Welcome to the Council on Foreign Relations and this special event on crossing borders. The way forward.
I smell a swing state party.
Tone, Rick.
You didn't have to round up dozens of governors just to talk to the 5 of us.
You're here because there have been concerning threats in exurban counties in each of your states.
Could you be more specific?
We're keeping an eye on Hunterdon, Elko, Jefferson counties, also Chester and McHenry, which is why it's crucial that we work with your state's administrations leading up to the election.
Every one of those precincts is a typically Republican stronghold.
This isn't about party affiliation. As the president said, this is about security. Now, we believe this course of action. The voting centers with the added law enforcement will give us everything that we need to protect the integrity of the ballot box.
Okay, but speaking for Governor Olmsted and maybe all of our bosses, how can we be sure that these measures won't discourage everyone from getting to the polls?
I.e., Democrats.
It's a chance we have to take. But we don't believe it'll play out that way.
We're in an extremely close race in Ohio.
Preventing further acts of terrorism is just about all that matters, Tanya. Now, I do realize with these heightened threats comes an additional strain on the governors of your states. So, I say to each and every one of you, tell me how we can help.
Putting aside the very real moral questions, how is shutting down the borders even feasible?
I know this policy is going to hurt some people, but let me explain why it's necessary. And the Vice President should feel free to jump in.
But is it fun? Putting words in the Underwood's mouths?
That's not what I do. It's more like the opposite. I just try and articulate what's on their minds and in their hearts.
That's how you see your job.
Basically, my job is to remain invisible.
Were you with him that night? The night Jim Miller was killed?
I'm not going to answer that.
I'll take that as a yes.
Don't.
I'm just trying to understand what you do.
Then you're missing the point. I'm not the story, Steve. I'm just not.
You make yourself sound replaceable.
I am. I serve at the pleasure of the president.
And the First Lady.
The Democratic vice presidential candidate. Yeah, her too.
But you write speeches for both of them.
Most often for Mrs. Underwood.
Articulating what's on her mind and in her heart.
Mm-hmm. I'm just a mouthpiece.
Has she put you in charge of any other parts?
You're still an asshole, man. Good luck with the alimony.
That was rough.
It went fine.
It's not sustainable. I mean, what do you think?
About what?
About the president's rush to war. At least half the Beltway seems to think it's outrageous.
It is outrageous.
We could resign our posts, you know, in protest. I bet we could convince others of the cabinet to do the same thing.
Outrageous by design, I was going to say. It's smart, what the president's doing. It's serving him in the polls.
Donald, let's take a step back for a moment. I underestimated you. I did. When you were acting president, my faith was less than full. But now I understand the terrible box you were in. The forces...
Kathy, I'm gonna stop you. I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
Are you telling me your plan is just to phone it in until January 20th? come on, Donald. What's happened to you? Back in the day, you and Marjorie were at the forefront of every progressive cause, literally fighting the good fight. These people, can we really let them do this?
You want to walk down memory lane, Kathy? Okay. Remember the convention? Remember the Politico article? I offered you an out. You should have taken that opportunity to resign then and there.
Circumstances were nothing like this.
Sure they were. You just didn't want to see it. And just so you know, right before her mind was truly gone, Marjorie called it. She saw the unholy alliance you were making with Frank Underwood. She called it.
So this meeting between our bosses today,
The president's looking forward to a productive discussion with Governor Matthews.
there's no one else here. Can we cut the crap? You want us to engage in voter suppression.
It's not a phrase I'd ever use.
Fine, call it motor depression for all I care. We get it. White people are the problem. Republicans, understood. But my boss doesn't happen to be up for re-election.
I'm listening.
I have 2 words for you. Slag heap. Matthews wants the EPA to name a slag heap on the outskirts of Philadelphia as a Superfund site.
I seriously doubt that can happen before the election.
I think you should battle your doubts, Doug. The governor is willing to let the past stay in the past. But unless the Underwood administration is bearing top-tier gifts, you've got a lot of fucking nerve asking for favors from the former VP. On the other hand, if you make things right, Matthews will do his part. Don't you always feel sorry for the horse?
Who's in the conference room?
You mean the Lady Brigade? What? That's what they call the NSA forensic auditors.
I didn't know they were scheduled for today.
That's their routine. They just show up. Welcome to the NSA. Hey, boss.
Oh.
May I, Mr. President?
Well, that's what they're there for. I won't take up much of your time. I know you have a busy afternoon.
Well, I've got a little time.
I'm curious. Why do you think the committee decided to call you first?
Because I asked them to. Well, this emergency governors conference of yours came up, and I'm sure you recall I don't much like D.C., so I figured why not make it one-stop shopping?
Yes. But of course, we both know that executive privilege could have negated your having to appear at one of those shops. Jim, I'm going to help you with your slag heap. I hope that means that I can count on you.
Of course that's what it means. We're members of a tiny brotherhood, you and I, of ex-VPs.
When and if Garrett Walker appears before this committee, do you think he'll betray the party?
You mean you?
Well, that would be the same thing.
Now, I don't know what really happened on your journey to replace me as vice president and then Garrett as president. I only know what my gut tells me. But I'm willing to say, fuck my gut. Bottom line is, I can help you with this committee or I can hurt you. Now, I can say that I know nothing, and that what I saw in Garrett Walker was a troubled man. And I can leave it at that. What do you think?
Oh, I can't tell you what to do, Jim. But I can say, as one ex-VP to another, that this cleanup in Pennsylvania is going to be worth about $300 million and 10,000 jobs. And that's not bad for an afternoon's work.
I like the new road.
Thank you. I didn't have much to do with it. It's really Claire's design.
Good to see you, Mr. President.
You too. Governor Scanlon.
Mr. President?
You've been on my mind.
I want to talk to your boss about the Declaration of War Committee.
So, if you're hoping to intimidate him because of the back taxes, you can save your breath. His closet is back to being clean.
What about yours?
You're a pig.
Hey, I didn't watch it. I'm just a messenger. I'd be mad at the dude who posted it.
I am.
There are ways to get rid of it. It's a goodwill gift. To let you know I'm serious. Look, I'm guessing sooner or later I get called. And if that happens, I could plead the fifth. I could press secretary them all day long. But I'd like to have another option on the table. I can't be a public witness myself. But if you offer me anonymity and immunity, I can testify privately. Tell the committee where the bodies are buried, so to speak.
But just to be clear, you're telling me you have evidence the president engaged in criminal activity.
Not evidence regarding the president, no. I have a lot of information about his chief of staff.
Doug Stamper.
Talk to your boss. Let me know. Bridget, total non sequitur. You have a very elegant neck.
Mr. Grayson. Sean Jeffries. I'm with the Herald. Sorry I don't have a free hand.
How long have you been with the paper?
13 months. Style section.
Oh, that would explain why I don't know you.
Man's tie is a window into his soul. We just ran a piece on it.
Oh, yeah? So, what does my tie say about me?
It says you're a dedicated civil servant with the bank account to prove it. Anyway, recognized you. Just wanted to say hi. I mean, unless we can buy you a drink. You know Cam Lauder, lobbyist for Mercedes-Benz? Next to him is Kim Feld-Shook, works at the DOD, and that's Randy Beaufort, personal trainer for Fat Washington Farts. We're going to old school this afternoon. Come on, join us for a quick one.
Mouthpiece.
I don't know why he was talking to the press in the first place.
Well, unfortunate choice of word for Tom, no doubt. But still, it'll play itself out. But what I want to know is, what do you see? Why don't you like Yates?
Tom is an important part of the team. His speeches have been...
Oh, look, he has more responsibilities than that. You know it, so that bothers you.
I just wouldn't want anyone to infer a personal investment on his part that isn't useful to the campaign. I suppose all I'm saying is that I won't let anything happen to the First Lady or you, Mr. President.
I appreciate that, Leon.
We are fucked, Mr. President. Pardon my French.
I don't care about your French. Why am I even talking to you?
Well, the NSA has sent in auditors. If I don't erase my files, cover my tracks...
We're a week away from the election, Mr. McCallan. Cover your tracks.
In which case, I need to let hackers temporarily invade a Capital East telecom switching center.
Meaning what?
Well, the center covers most of the U.S. government cyber traffic. But if I'm in and out in 20 minutes, I think the damage will look mischief level, messed up connections, that sort of thing.
And what if it takes you longer?
No, it won't, because another 10, 20 minutes and...
Do it.
All right, well, I'll start at 4 p.m. As soon as I'm done, I'll anonymously send out a fix to the problem.
No.
Sir?
Leanne will contact you about when to set up the fix. You'll wait for her.
Okay, but just to be
She'll
clear...
let you know.
Oh. I just saw the Haynes article. I have no idea what Tom was thinking.
Yes. It was sloppy.
Agreed. I'll talk to him. Are you all right?
How was New York?
My events went well.
And? What aren't you telling me?
I bumped into Ken Caswell.
Does he know any more?
No, why didn't you call him back?
What?
His treasury business. The oversight legislation, I understand you don't care about it. Fine. But you can't ignore loose ends like that. You owed him your ear.
Well, I didn't realize it was going to become so personal. I am the President of the United States, for Christ's sake. I'm a bit busy.
The past doesn't disappear on command, Francis. Not even for presidents.
What did he say to you?
Ken's got a big mouth. I'm sorry about Tim. I'm sorry he's gone. I know how you felt about him. Or I can imagine.
Listen to me. You know you're the only person I've ever truly loved. You know that, right? And listen, something else is about to happen.
Welcome back. Reception is sketchy. Good trip?
I just came back to get changed. I need to get back to Francis.
You're mad at me.
You shouldn't have said that.
I know. I know we need to be careful.
Careful is far too small a word for what we need to be.
Okay. But don't you get tired of being far bigger than careful all the time?
You know what I'm tired of? This role, First Lady. 'Cause it's never felt right.
It's only 8 more days to the vice presidency.
What's my rule?
What?
What am I to you anyway? Or you to me? I mean, are you my girlfriend? And when you win, does that make me like first boyfriend? First concubine? About that article, I'm sorry.
I hate apologies.
I'm sorry.
I looked over at you. I watched you watching.
When?
Did it even affect you? The beheading?
Why would you ask that?
I had no sense of what you were thinking. None.
Of what I was thinking? I wasn't thinking. I was thinking, don't think. And I'll tell you something else. I never said I like being careful.
God damn it.
What's wrong?
The GPS thinks we're back at the White House.
Did you reach the campaign office?
Trying, I can't get a signal. Oh wait, here we go.
I can't miss this flight.
It's ringing.
Good. How long do you think?
Now it stopped.
There's a pileup on the highway. I'm doing the best I can. Hello?
Hello? Tanya, let me try your phone.
I'm having the same issues.
Can you get through to the office?
No, Governor, I can't.
Garrett is a good man.
A trustworthy man?
Absolutely, Mr. Romero.
And is he the kind of man who would knowingly participate in campaign finance fraud?
I wouldn't say that exactly, no.
How well do you know President Underwood, sir?
I've known the president 4 years.
Isn't it a fact that it was Francis Underwood and not President Walker who first suggested you should resign?
To the best of my recollection, no.
And isn't it true that the source of campaign funds you received as the president's running mate was connected to a pay-for-play scheme that reached all the way from Missouri to China?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
Did you receive any campaign donations through Raymond Tusk's firm, Clayton West?
Not to the best of my recollection.
Do you think your recollection or knowledge will improve as the day goes on?
Excuse me?
Beth, I want you to promise me that you'll call me anytime you need anything. You are the love of Tim's life, you know that? Well, I should probably... Yes, you too. Goodbye. Thank you, Felix.
Would you like me to prepare for you, sir?
No, I'll be fine, thank you. The first question to ask yourself, is the damper open? Never allow yourself to be overcome with smoke. Conflagration relies on airflow. That's what the grate is for. Now, I like a 1-inch base of ash. It's helpful, but of course they clean up around here too soon to do that. Now, as for the architecture of the logs, I prefer the upside-down method. Largest logs right along the base. Then medium-sized logs after that. Small logs. And then finally, kindling and tinder. Now, of course, back home, dead palmetto fronds are ideal, but of course, here in Washington, we have to use whatever garbage we find lying around. But then,
If a man cannot use what's right in God damn it, Tim. If a man is not smart enough to be able to use whatever's in front of him and still make it work, well then, that's just a failure of the imagination.
Right here. And I'm thinking, do I tell him? I gotta take this. Hey,
Your testimony can't be private.
sorry to hear that.
Just wanted to let you know.
What's a flash blood warning? It's coming up on everybody's phones.
Thanks for the drinks.
Tom, stop. No, wait, I have to get back.
Come on.
No. Tom!
And finally, you strike your match, you ignite your kindling, and then you blow.
It's happening, sir.
Citizens should be advised. A wave of disruptions is currently affecting internet and cellular service in the D.C. area. Expect traffic and travel delays as authorities are still trying to determine the scope of the problem. Multiple agencies
Are we gonna make
have
this
been
flight?
dispatched to discover the source. Unconfirmed reports speculate the disruptions may be connected to a cyber attack with possible ties to ICA.
Oh my God.
A statement from the White House is expected.
Maybe they were
later
right.
this
Maybe we should have said yes to the offer of those troops.
National Guard on patrol makes us look weak right before an election. Forget it.
But governors.
I made my decision, Tanya.
D.C. metropolitan area, followed by our comprehensive business report covering the day of.
Not yet.
They're patching through the heads of all the carriers, sir.
Gentlemen and ladies, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. President.
Good. Then tell me how in God's name this has happened.
We don't know yet, sir. We're still working on the problem. We're reaching out to as many people as we can.
Did we just lose them? Is this a joke?
Ohio governor's calling from a payphone.
This is the president.
Mr. President, I've changed my mind. If the offer's still open, I'd like to accept additional troops for the state of Ohio.
Just say the word, Roger, whatever you need. My fellow Americans, the facts are these. The greater District of Columbia area and the immediate region beyond have undergone what we suspect is an ICO-sponsored cyber attack. The attack was aimed at the district's main telecom switching center. In addition to intermittent outages, a considerable amount of havoc has been wreaked. Traffic lights have been disabled. One area train has been derailed. The system that maintains our sewers has been tampered with. The perpetrators were targeting the government, and their ultimate purpose, though foiled, was to disrupt all mid-Atlantic transportation networks. Events like these underscore the urgency of my request to Congress for a declaration of war. Tonight, I can only suspect Congress will spend a dark night of the soul, after which they will reconsider their paralysis and choose to act. Capital East Telecom has informed me that it's repairing the network as fast as possible, but that it will take at least a couple of more days to be fully restored. It is an unfortunate but undeniable fact that we will continue to experience attacks until ICO and other terrorist groups like it are eliminated swiftly and completely. Thank you. May God bless you. And may God bless the United States of America. We off.
Hi, Hannah. I saw your interview. I'd appreciate it if you didn't bring up the details of my combat record.
You were a hero that day. You should use it, Will.
Governor, aren't you worried about bringing your kids out in the middle of a terrorist attack?
It'd be scarier to keep the kids at home. The streets are safe. Life goes on. You got to be kidding me.
What's on your mind, Governor?
What's on my mind? I mean, you see what's going on here. This is all him. It's a man who's never served. Wouldn't know what a real war was if it jumped up and bit him in the ass. I mean, a declaration of war. He's putting American lives in danger. War is real.
Nightcap.
You don't screw around with it.
Why not?
This is what happens. This is what happens when you throw around a word like war. All hell breaks loose.